Hi, this is Debbie Bailey, and I want to talk about A Song of Ice and Fire, the books by George R. R. Martin. I have a lot of thoughts, and I'm going to try to get to all of them. But mainly, it started many, many years ago when I was reading about Rob and his story. And he's got gray wind, and he's 15 years old when Ned is arrested, thrown in the black cells, calls all the Northern Banners. They come. They have to go to battle. And I'm thinking, okay, anytime now I'm going to read a Rob POV. But I don't. And then he wins another battle and he captures Jaime Lannister. And I'm thinking, okay, now I'm going to get a Rob POV. Something from his point of view. But no, no. And then I start wondering, something is wrong here. Okay. He's doing these amazing, incredible things, and he's barely a man, and what's going on? And then when they execute his father, Ned, the Northerners all get together at River Run and crown him King of the North. And there's still no Rob POV. So I'm thinking, okay, this is like this flashing red light inside of me that maybe Rob isn't going to make it. And then he starts breaking his vows and his promises. And he starts separating himself physically and emotionally from Greywind. And that was just a big, big mistake. But there's still a connection between the two of them. And then we get the Red Wedding, which has got to be one of the hardest reads ever. I had to put the book down, didn't pick up A Storm of Swords for a week. And then when I did, I went back to start reading about Sansa. Okay. You know, she meets Joffrey. She falls in love with this golden-haired prince. Her direwolf is named Lady. Okay. This is all she wants. She wants to marry this yellow-haired prince and be queen one day. And that's all that matters to her. That's it. And then at the end of the crossroads, the whole thing happens with, you know, Joffrey and Micah, and, you know, then he points his sword at Arya, and Nymeria, like, nips him. Doesn't really bite him hard. And Sansa's there and watches the whole thing, right? And Arya, split-second decision, chases off Nymeria, right? And then Cersei wants Nymeria killed, but they can't find Nymeria. Arya's chased her off. So they're going to kill Lady. And Sansa has seen everything, even Joffrey pointing the sword at Arya. But she protects Joffrey. She cries and wails and all, you know, but not once does she tell the truth. And Lady is killed. Okay? And then they get all the way to King's Landing. And after some time, she knows he's a complete SOB. She has to, but in her mind, she's just romanticizing the hell out of him. And please don't quote this line because I know I don't have it right, but it's something along the lines of, somebody this beautiful just can't be cruel. That, you know, it's just, it's not possible. I mean, this is the way she thinks of him in her head. She completely romanticizes him, forgives him everything. And then Ned starts figuring out the way the wind's truly blowing down there and tells Sansa and Arya that he's sending them back to Winterfell for their safety. And Sansa goes running to Cersei, which gives Cersei a heads up on Ned. She has Ned arrested. She has all the king's guards and the servants of the Starks killed. Arya barely escapes with her life and commits her first kill. Okay? Okay. Think about that. Okay, and when you do, keep in mind that everybody, practically everybody, thinks that Sansa's going to end up as Queen of the North or Lady of Winterfell. I don't think so. She's got too much Stark blood on her hands and her direwolf's blood on her hands. I'm sorry. Everything she did was for her own self-interest and because she wanted to marry Joffrey one day and be queen one day. So no, that's not going to happen. And then we got Bran, who I was on this kid's side for 110% until he gets to that cave with Bloodraven, who, when have we ever trusted Bloodraven with anything? And starts using all these people that have been sent to guide and protect and teach him. He's committing abominations against these people and his direwolf. The worst being warging into Hodor. It's an abomination. Warging into Summer and eating human flesh. It's an abomination. Jojen has disappeared and now we have this paste. Okay, he's eating Jojen for Christ's sakes, and we all know it. And he has this lovey-crushy thing for Mira. I mean, what could possibly go wrong there, right? Okay? I mean, warging into a grown man with problems, you know, with this lovey-crushy thing for Mira. I mean, that could go real sideways real fast. I want to know what in the flying flock is going on with Bloodraven. What does he really want? Why is he letting Bran commit these abominations? Why do people assume that everything going on there is preparing him to be some kind of king of Westeros? Because I don't. What he's doing to these people and to his direwolf they're disgusting, revolting. He's losing his Stark identity. He's losing his humanity. And if you think for 1 minute that a direwolf named Summer is going to see any part of the real winter to come, I'm sorry. All three of these direwolves are going to die. Lady, Grey Wind, Summer. And what they all have in common is they have yellow eyes. All of them. I mean, sometimes they look golden yellow. Sometimes Grey Wind has a golden hue in his yellow eyes, but yellow is the predominant color. And I think that every single one of those Stark kids is going to have a literal or a figurative death. Robb is already dead. Bran's going through this horrible alteration in the cave with Bloodraven. Once again, why are we trusting him with anything, you know, based on his life? And Sansa, she's just got too much Stark blood on her hands. And her direwolf. No. She's going to have a literal or a figurative death. And then there's all this stuff about... Look, okay. Yeah, I think the other direwolves, okay? We got Nymeria with the golden eyes. Dark golden eyes. Like the children of the forest. Arya names her Nymeria. Who is Nymeria? A warrior queen. She's the only one who named her direwolf after royalty. Alright? Now, she's over there in Bravos, trying to be no one. It's not going well. She's been warging into Nymeria since book 2. She can't let go of Needle. And she's killing people off her own kill list. Alright? So she's like the equivalent of a novice, like before you become a nun. Even though there's nothing nun-like going on with the Faceless Men. But as long as she remains a novice, she can leave the Faceless Men at any time. I think she will. She'll grab Needle. She'll get on her ship. And she'll go back to Westeros. And that's on this ship with all kinds of time. She'll start warging into Nymeria. And she's going to keep warging in and out of Nymeria and see where Nymeria is through her eyes. And Nymeria is going to guide her now. And she's going to reach her at the Riverlands. And Nymeria is going to be waiting for her. And Nymeria is going to be massively huge. Okay? And Lady Stoneheart's going to be there and see her. And she's got Robb's crown. Okay? She's going to want Arya to have it. Now, is Arya going to see Lady Stoneheart? God, I hope not. But you know, instead of what they had her do on the show, I mean, I hate talking about the show, but no, she's not, there is no Night King, there is none of that, but I do think that great big wolf pack on the wall, I think Nymeria, Arya, and those over 200 wolves are going to avenge the Red Wedding. A lot of people think it's going to be another wedding. No, I think Cersei's going to call her allies once she gets wind of Aegon Aegon and all that crap and the Golden Company, and the Freys are one of her allies. And they're going to come out of that castle, and Nymeria is going to mount, Arya's going to mount Nymeria, and those two, and these over 200 wolves are going to rip the Freys from limb to limb. And then Arya and Nymeria and about 20 of these wolves are going to race into the castle. And Nymeria is going to rip Walder Frey's throat out. And Lady Stoneheart will see the Red Wedding truly avenged. And it will bring her peace. What form of peace that takes, I certainly hope it won't be a mercy killing by Arya. What I hope is something else that George R.R. Martin can come up with, and I hope that it's Gendry, who's always been with the Brotherhood Without Banners, gives Arya the crown. And after realizing that she can't take Nymeria from this wolf pack, because they're like the Stark soldiers in the Riverlands, and she's their leader and their general, Gendry and Arya will reunite. They'll take a couple of Frey horses and a bunch of provisions, and they'll go off to Winterfell together. Okay, that's what I believe. I also believe that Jon is living inside of Ghost right now, his whole essence. And I can't even, because see, like, we got Ghost, who is red eyes, white fur. He's a weirwood tree. I believe he is the most magical and mystical of all of the direwolves because of his coloring. And I can't even begin to fathom the transformation that's going to take place within Jon living inside that most magical direwolf. But he will come back changed. I think he will be given a vision because of who and what Ghost is and how connected he is to the old gods. I think he will be given a vision of the lands of Always Winter, because in the books, we'd know next to nothing about the White Walkers, like nil. So he's going to see what they look like, their weapons, what they want, and the extinction level threat they are to humanity. He's going to see it. He's also going to be taken down into the crypts before Lyanna hear the word mother. It's always been important to him. And he's going to come back, you know, who Ghost is, the old god, the power of the old gods, the magic of the werewoods. They're going to like a collective scream, and for Jon to wake up, and he's going to be thrown out of Ghost back into his body. And, you know, he's, because of living inside a Ghost, he's not going to want a friggin' thing to do with Melisandre. And he's going to take a dark turn, too. It's not just going to be Dany. They're kind of like on parallel, journeys, the two of them. She's going through it in the Dothraki Sea. He's going through it inside a Ghost. And one of the dark things he's going to do is, regardless of age or rank, is seek out the men who knifed him and brutally and ruthlessly slay them. Melisandre's not going to be able to stop him. He's going to look so different. People are going to be in shock. He's going to have red rims around the pupils of his eyes. He's going to have silver shot through his brown hair. He's going to be double his mass, his muscle mass. He's going to be maxed out, buffed out to the extreme. And, you know, in the meantime, Melisandre has burned Shireen. It's melted the ice and snow all over the north. Okay, she did it mainly to free up Stannis, but she burned his daughter, for Christ's sakes, poor Shireen, alive. And then he's going to bring the wildlings south. He's going to take horses, supplies, whatever he wants. No one's going to stop him. Through shock, guilt over committing treason, you know, his allies, the wildlings, some of his Night's Watch brothers, and the weather is not going to impede him. Stannis has needed time for his men to gain strength, the horses to regain strength. He's going to catch up with Stannis. And they're all going to join together, plus the Stark loyalists, and they are going to win the Battle of Ice. And they're going to kill the Boltons, and they're going to kill the traitors to the Starks. And great. Okay, there they are in Winterfell, right? This place is going to be a frickin' wreck. All right? From being encased in ice and snow, practically buried, right? Those are the words, buried in ice and snow for God knows how long, right? So there's going to be all these dead bodies they got to burn. This place is full of mud and muck and mired, full of just crap from the melting of the ice and snow. Rotten wood, okay, along the ramparts from the being encased in ice and snow, and broken things because of being encased in ice and snow. It's going to take months to clean up this friggin' place. In the meantime, Jon and Ghost are going to go down into the crypts. She's in a seated statue, by the way, a pristine one. It's not that old. And Ghost is going to be pawing around, and Jon is going to go where Ghost is pawing, and this little scalloped edge thing is going to pop up, and a little door is going to open up. Very thin stone door. And inside there's going to be this letter. And he's going to sit there reading this letter from his Uncle Ned. There's also going to be another piece of paper, a birth certificate. Remember, Rhaegar never thought he was going to lose this war. He had a maester at the Tower of Joy. There are so many reasons why Ned and Howland did what they did at the Tower of Joy. Okay? So he's going to be looking at his birth certificate. He's going to be reading this letter from Ned, and he's going to make a few decisions. Number one, whatever Starks are out there are his first cousins. Lyanna was his mother. His Uncle Ned did everything in his power to protect him, and he is a Targaryen. And remember, Lyanna was bleeding out. She didn't give a flying flock about prophecy anymore. She knew he already had a son named Aegon. Okay? Right? She named him Aemon. That's the only other, Targaryen name Rhaegar mentioned to her. He talked to her about Aemon. So she named him Aemon Targaryen after Maester Aemon. Okay? So that's his name. Right? So he decides nothing's going to be gained by telling anybody he's a Targaryen. He's been named Lord of Winterfell because nobody else is there. Okay. So now, Melisandre's blood magic is not more powerful than the power of the old gods. So about 3.5 months goes by. They're about 80% done at putting Winterfell back together. And here it comes. Winter starts falling upon Winterfell again. The never-ending blizzards start again. They don't know what they're going to do. There's still damage all around Winterfell. Okay? But Davos has found Shaggy Dog and Rickon. He has brought them more than halfway home. They are met by the Manderleys. And they are seen. They are seen coming back. And they're all there watching. The Manderleys, Rickon, Shaggy Dog, okay? And then when Rickon and Shaggy Dog walk through the gates of Winterfell, these never-ending blizzards, they all abruptly and immediately stop. And everybody's going to see it, and everybody's going to witness it. So here's my question. Why does Rickon have to die? Why? Because when he was a little boy, he gave his direwolf a silly name? I'm sorry, I don't buy it. I think that the Stark that walks through and saves Winterfell and stops the never-ending blizzards, you thank that Stark and you help that Stark and his direwolf. And I think Jon will start helping Rickon. I think Ghost will start helping Shaggy Dog. I think Davos will remain at Rickon's side, not Jon's. Okay? George R.R. Martin always said he had an important part to play, right? Okay, fine. All right. So let's just fast forward this all the way out. Okay, Rickon is going to be the first Stark, stops the blizzards. I hope Mira survives and gets Bran to Winterfell, but there's going to be something off about Bran. She's going to leave as fast as she can. Hopefully, she's still alive. And Summer will be dead, all right? And then Arya will show up with Gendry. And Arya is going to love seeing... She's not going to give a damn about how much Jon has changed. Others are going to be shocked by it, but not Arya. She knows all about warging and, all this. She's probably going to tease him about how he looks like his direwolf, And one of the things she thought she learned while being Roose Bolton's cupbearer was that her brothers were dead. She's going to be over the moon to see them. But she's going to feel and sense that something's wrong with Bran. And then, she's going to see the positive effect that she has had coming home on Rickon. And is going to ask Nymeria to please, she's going to work into Nymeria and ask her to please come just for a little while to help Shaggy Dog. And she does. She takes the shortest route. She pushes herself to the max. And when these two wolves ever see Nymeria coming, they're going to run full bore out. These three direwolves are going to be leaping into the air, crashing into each other, rolling around in the snow. And what did Ned Stark say? The lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. Okay. So they're all there but Sansa. Sansa's over there in the Vale pretending to be Peter Baelish's bastard daughter. And everybody thinks she's turning into this gamer. I don't see it. What I see is a young woman. She's becoming a young woman. And she's just getting better at protecting herself. She's becoming much more observant about what other people are doing. And she is sick and tired of being used by Littlefinger. She is. She's tired of it. She wants to be free, and she makes that castle of Winterfell in the snow, because now Winterfell represents her fortress of safety. She hasn't felt safe since she left Winterfell. Okay? So, she's going to, I believe, she's going to be able to warg into birds. That's what I believe. George R. R. Martin says they all have warging power, and, little bird thing, Peter Baelish's mockingbird pen, all the birds up there in the Vale, the ravens, the falcons, the eagles. I think she's going to be able to learn how to do it. And she's going to discover that Peter Baelish is truly trying to kill little Robin, sweet Robin, with that sleep syrup. I mean, she's giving him some, but she's not trying to kill him. And that's where she's going to see her opportunity, and that's where she's going to make a stand with her cousin. And she's going to get her annulment papers, and then when, this event happens and she's dressed to the nines, right? She is going to expose Peter Baelish right there in the Vale. She is going to tell about the sleep syrup and how he's trying to kill their lord, Aaron, their little lord, sweet Robin. Expose the thing with the Harding guy. Tell about the other murders, the plots, the lies. And then she's going to warg into this great big flock of birds. And it's going to be gory and horrifying and horrible. And there isn't going to be a thing left of Littlefinger except for his friggin' mockingbird pin. Ned Stark, he who passes a sentence should swing the sword. No one but Sansa Stark is going to kill Littlefinger, okay? But again, it's going to be about self-interest. She's going to be profusely thanked, and they're going to want her to stay, especially sweet Robin, but she wants to go home. So the Knights of the Vale are going to escort her home. But what do you think is going to happen when Sansa Stark gets home and is confronted by this three-eyed raven who used to be her brother Bran, and he very dispassionately and with no judgment confronts her on what she's done, what she's truly done, and what she's responsible for? the dead Starks, her father, Arya's misfortunes, the death of her direwolf. What do you think her reaction is going to be? I mean, do you think she's got a shot at a redemption arc? I don't know. I know if Arya finds out, Arya will kill her. Sister or no sister. Right? All right. So this is what I think, and I don't think we should trust Bloodraven for a frickin' second. And it is these kids and their direwolves that have captured my imagination. And I'm going to be making another video of what I think should or could possibly happen in the end. Because I think a lot of people are, I don't know. That friggin' show, But these are the things that are on my mind. And the ending is especially on my mind. Especially. So thanks so much for listening. Bye. Bye-bye. And I just want to say that this eye color theory, I've had it for many, many years about the direwolves. I've had this theory. It's just a theory. I'm not a foreshadower. These are just the things that I believe because of reading and rereading and having so much love and interest in these Stark kids and their direwolves, in Dany and the dragons, the possible ending. I'm 68 years old. I don't know if I'm going to live to read or see The Winds of Winter or A Dream of Spring. So I'm giving you my own point of view. I'm doing my own POV. Oh my God. Which is probably total tinfoil and crazy, but it doesn't matter. It's, there's so many ideas out there, and this is just another one. Thanks so much for your time and attention.